What's up, Titans fans? It's your boy CD back again with another episode of TitanUp 2day. It's been so long. I missed you guys, but we're back. Week 4, our impromptu bye week, where we were supposed to play the Steelers, but it got kicked over to week 7, is now done. We had to watch 15 games that I did not want to watch, but Titans football is back, and we play the Bills for week 5, and I'm hyped up. As hyped up as I can be, because obviously COVID-19 is still a thing. As soon as we thought that we were clear, found out that we are not. So we're still waiting to see how that's going to shake out. On today's show, we'll discuss that, COVID-19, how it's affecting us, the league. We'll also talk about how the AFC South as well as the AFC as a whole looks after week 4, even though we did not play and we stood still. Where do we shape out? Who knows? But for right now, there's no need to delay. Let's get down to it. All right, you guys. So is it just me, or are Titans and Titans fans being personally attacked by other NFL teams as if we had COVID, flew over to Nissan Stadium to the practice field, and then gave everybody COVID so that they're holding up the NFL of some sort? I didn't do anything. I live over in England, and I'm not bothering anybody. I want to watch my Titans just as much as I want to watch any other football. That being said, the Titans seem to have screwed up something royal. The NFL has already threatened to give us some kind of historic punishment. I don't know what that means. We've actually heard there's a possibility of them trying to take away a game of some sort. I don't know how that's going to shake out. I don't think it's something that the NFL would do. There's a lot of money to be made by just having us playing a game against another team. If they open up this stadium at any point in time, there's obviously ticket sales, but definitely networks that are playing us, TVs, commercials. Too much money to just give up and just say the Tennessee Titans aren't going to play for a week. Now, I do think that we probably aren't handling business the way we should. I don't know exactly how the whole Vrabel to Tannehill conversation went, or Vrabel to the team conversation went whenever they locked down the facility on Wednesday, not knowing if we were going to play the Steelers or not. But we decided to hold our own short practice at a local high school and had a group of people throwing the ball around. And now there's some COVID cases that have now spiked. Literally yesterday, morning time, everything is good. We just got the news that there had been no new cases of COVID or anyone being in contact with COVID from our squad at all, and that we were going to be able to practice Wednesday with no issues. And that quickly turned back around whenever not one, but 2 brand new cases showed up in our locker room. And now we have a couple more people on the IR list for COVID-19. So I want to talk about it. I want to give you a quick rundown of who is on the COVID list at this point in time, as well as what practice looked like on Wednesday, what the practice report / injury report is. Here it is right quick. So as you see here, our COVID-19 listing, long snapper Bo Brinkley has been on the COVID-19. He was one of the first folks to go on last week, along with Daquan Jones, our nose tackle. But new additions, Christian Fulton, wide receiver Adam Humphries, Cameron Batson, who's on the practice squad, but he does go back and forth from time to time. And newest additions, as of literally yesterday, Jeffrey Simmons, our stud defensive tackle, and our all-around fullback, running back, a little bit of tight end, does everything, Kyrie Blasingame, also added, along with wide receiver Corey Davis. As soon as we think that we might get A.J. Brown, as you can see on the practice report, he was limited in practice on Wednesday with his knee. It looks like he's going to be able to play as long as we do play on Sunday. Malcolm Butler with his quad was a full participant. Outside linebacker / defensive end, Jadeveon Clowney with his knee was a full participant, along with Chris Jackson and Darrington Evans with their hamstrings were full participants. Taylor Lewan with his shoulder, which was kind of scary after that last game, was a full participant as well. So that's good that we got the whole squad together. So again, injuries, it looks like we're getting healthy. I do not see Adoree Jackson on the practice report at all. So I don't know if he even practiced or if he was a full participant. He has no injuries. I think he's still in the IR is what they're clocking. He has not come back off of that. I haven't seen anything in the transactions just yet. Now, IR with COVID, we see that list. We also see our practice report, and it looks like we might be back to practice. Haven't heard a practice report yet for Thursday. Something should come out, but I'm thinking that they've closed the facilities as well to start to contain that. The league is starting to look at how they're going to punish us. That's scary in its own right. I think that the Patriots got the biggest punishment out of all this with Cam Newton not being able to start. And obviously, they lost on Monday night against Kansas City. That was a big game for them. I think that we kind of got lucky that they didn't do the same thing to us and just say, hey, look, whoever's got COVID can't play, stay home, and then we just play the Steelers and just figure it out. The fact that they moved that bye week benefited us in the long run, because we knew about the COVID cases prior to, as opposed to the Cam Newton COVID case that came up Saturday before they were going to travel to play Kansas City. So with our situation now, I almost feel like the league is trying to, not only the league, but fans and other teams are trying to take it out on us. Like, hey, look, these guys had COVID. They're spreading, like rampant and not following the protocols and the rules. What are you guys going to do to them? And I think now they're looking at draft picks. They're looking at fines, all these things. I think there's going to be a major hand slap. It's going to be a big one, though. Historic hand slap. It might even hurt a little bit for the Titans. They're going to hit our pockets, which realistically, it's too much money that the NFL teams are making. I don't think that will hurt too much. I think the problem will be the draft pick or picks that they're threatening to take. How high or low are those draft picks and how that will affect us moving forward, who knows? But right now, we're still waiting for the NFL to come out and even finish the investigation to conclude if we're following protocols or if we weren't following protocols. The bracelets that we're supposed to wear, there was gaps in time for a couple practices where they're assuming now that we weren't wearing our wristbands, so we didn't know who passed by who whenever this person got diagnosed with COVID or symptoms of COVID, they didn't know who was being passed because whoever it is, left tackle Taylor Lewan, I don't know if this is actually accurate, but one player didn't have his wristband on for an hour during practice, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to hit us over the head with that. So being patient, we'll find out how that shakes out. For the time being, we just have to kind of catch our breath. Hopefully the NFL is not too mad at us. They let us play, one, but second off, they're not going to suspend any players or anything like that and put us out there at a disadvantage against a very, very good undefeated Buffalo Bills team at 4-0, and a big game for us and the AFC this week. But not to jump into that right now. We're going to do the preview tomorrow, but I do want to do a quick outlook on what the AFC looks like as well as the AFC South moving forward. So as you can see, Kansas City as well as the Buffalo Bills are undefeated at 4-0, and us and the Steelers are 3-0, the last remaining undefeated teams. We were supposed to decide that last week. One should be 3-1 and one should be 4-0. I'm thinking that we would have been the 4-0 team. But anyways, we didn't get to play. We'll find that out in week 7. But this is what it looks like right now. Baltimore, Indy is creeping after that first week loss that they had against the Jags in the division. They're slowly climbing up as well at 3-1. But I think the biggest surprise is the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns disappointed big time last year, but right now are trying to push and make something of a run towards the top of the AFC here in the early stages of the season. So as you look here, the standings for the AFC South, the Titans right now, because we have not played that fourth game, we're still perfect at 3-0. The Colts have 3 wins, but they do have that loss, which gives them a 750 win percentage. Their division record is 0-1 also, so if we were tied, they would be below us. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 1-3 with a 1-1 division record, and the Houston Texans are looking on a whole nother level of bad at 0-4 after losing to the Minnesota Vikings at home in a game that realistically, I think that they have to win that game to even stay relatively competitive in our in our division, and even a little bit in the conference to try to get a wild card at a later date. As you noticed, I don't know if you guys heard, but they actually fired the head coach, Bill O'Brien, who is also the GM, which I found kind of weird all the same. So Bill O'Brien is the GM. The Texans have the highest payroll in the NFL and are 0-4 winless and weren't able to budget their money correctly to sign their star wide receiver stud. You can argue that the best wide receiver in the league in DeAndre Hopkins. Somehow they screwed that up. and someone had to go. And I think that was the easy choice to let go of the GM/head coach, Bill O'Brien. So they'll be starting all over from scratch, trying to move forward. As you can see here, losing to the Steelers in week 3, followed up by a week 4 loss last week to the Vikings. Week 5, they get to play the Jaguars, who are stumbling after that first win of the season, and they're 1-3. So again, kind of teeing it up for the Houston Texans. Got a game at home that they should be able to win, but we'll see how that shakes out for them in a very, very low-end division match between the two bottom guys to see who's going to stay at the bottom and who's going to start to try to move towards the top. The next up is obviously the Jacksonville Jaguars, still sitting on that loss to the Dolphins from that Thursday night matchup. And also this week losing to the Bengals as Joe Mixon finally shows up and puts in 4 touchdowns on the week, which was major for me fantasy-wise, but probably not for anybody else. But nonetheless, the Week 5 matchup is against the Texans, as I just said, 1 o'clock East Coast time. We'll see if it's less than impressive, as I believe it will be at the bottom of the AFC South. Next up, the Colts. Scary, as always. They give us a problem every single year. Even on their worst years, they find a way to give us a problem. But right now, they're still on this high on a 3-game winning streak. The last 2 games were against the Jets, were easy for them to just roll through them. But they played a tough Bears defense and won 19-11 last week on the road. This week, they get the Cleveland Browns as well on the road. The Cleveland Browns, again, 3-1. This should be a really good matchup for the afternoon kickoff. Now, the Titans, sitting still, idle last week, still on that little bit of a high of that 31-30 late field goal kick, 6 field goal kick performance by Gostkowski that to give us the 31-30 win. Didn't get to play this week against the Steelers, but the bye week, again, impromptu bye week, allowed us some time, hopefully, to prepare for a very, very good Buffalo Bills team. And again, I'll break that down for you guys tomorrow. If you guys join me for the preview, it should be a dandy. With the division wrapped up, you can see that it's very tight at the top and I guess very tight at the bottom as well, where they're only 1 game back from 0-4 Texans as well as the 1-3 Jaguars. But for the Colts slowly creeping up on us, we definitely need to get a win this week to separate ourselves and stay ahead of them by that game, because history has shown us whenever we are tied with the Colts or behind the Colts, they tend to really give us a problem. All right, so that's the AFC and the AFC South outlook. As you can tell, after 4 weeks, although we haven't played 4 games, but after 4 weeks, a quarter of the NFL season is complete. We're still atop the AFC, and right now the AFC South, we are the leaders on our own by ourselves, but the Colts are nipping at our bud. Now, week 4 is done. We have to really get hyped up. Week 5 is here, and I know it because it's Thursday, and on Thursday, we have Thursday night football. Thursday night football this week is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we'll call them the Buccaneers because they're 3-1 at this point in time, are flying into Chicago to play the Pretenders, who are the Chicago Bears. Shout out to you, Nick Blum. I hope you get some sleep tonight because they're going to lose. Nonetheless, it's not me saying it. Vegas says it. Vegas says Tampa Bay is going to win by 3.5 points. Over under is 44.5 points. I think Chicago has no chance of winning this game. I think they get a garbage touchdown late to keep it somewhat close. Tampa Bay wins this game 23-20. And look out for Allen Robinson. Nick Foles is going to be throwing the ball a ton whenever they're behind, and he seems to know where Allen Robinson is. The guy is a beast. I'm glad he's not in our division anymore, and he's over there with Chicago. But nonetheless, that's what it looks like. As you can see, there's a new guy in bolded, Jake Witt. He did well last week, very well, and I had a little bit of a slip-up. But he's up there by himself right now. We did a recount, and then we recounted again, but he's currently in the lead by 1. We'll talk about that on Saturday whenever we do the game predictions. But that's all for this show. Tomorrow's show is a preview of the Buffalo Bills coming to Nashville to take on our Tennessee Titans in a battle of 2 undefeated teams, one 4-0, one 3-0, but they're both still undefeated in a big game that's going to decide who is staying up atop the AFC. If you like this episode or any other episode in the past, click the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You are wrong. Subscribe to the channel. Click the notifications bell. Get notified whenever I drop tomorrow's episode of the Buffalo Bills preview versus the Tennessee Titans. It's going to be a good one. But before I let you go, I got one question for you. Why tighten up tomorrow when you could tighten up today? Woo!